Welcome to this video about the new Postal insights in our platform. In this video, I will show you the different components and explain you how they work. The insights can be found in the menu on the left side. It's the new insights that you will be redirected to, and it will consist of a number of components. The first one is the filtering options. I can filter on the dates. I can also filter on groups or topics. I'll come back to that later. Followed by the team insights and the platform insights, which are basically the totals. If you scroll down, then you move over to the individual statistics, both for the ambassadors, so the people who shared it on their personal pages, the business pages, the groups, the topics, and the links. And if you scroll further downwards, then you have the performance activities, about the distribution of the platforms, but also some other topics like the topics and groups. And also the relation with your Google Analytics. I'll show you that later as well. And in the end, you will have an overview of the posts, which are related to the filtering options that you have placed. It's very good to understand that each filter that you place on the top relates to the post, which are related then to that filter settings, which means that I see everything related to the post. So let's give some example. Right here, I selected in a demo environment the year-to-date option. But I can also set the last day or last 7 days or whatever, or also the custom dates. On the left side, I can put my filters on topics and on groups, and I can also use them both. So for example, if I use the filtering option for topics, I just select one and then click filter, and then it will only give me the posts which are related to that topic. I can also say, okay, maybe I have several topics for a post and I want to include more. So I can say, well, besides the P1, I would also like to have the dots post. And then I can make a choice. Do I want an and or an or option? So that means that it's posts which have both P1 and dots, and then I should set it to and. And if I want to have the posts which are either P1 or dots, then I should set it to or. So this is the way that the filtering options work. The same is true for the groups, and by default, the topics and groups can be filtered at the same time. So I can also make a selection for Belgium, the Netherlands, for example, and now I have only the P1 posts or the dots post for the groups Belgium, Netherlands. So this is the way that the filtering options work. Well, not a lot of posts in there, I see, but that's due to the fact that I made those choices. Okay, let's remove them and give you a clear overview. So remove this one as well. Okay. So right now I have my overview, and let's move over to the next topics, which are the totals. As you can see, the totals are being loaded each time that you create different filtering options. And basically the first row gives you an insights on the team performance. So how many users do I have in my team at the moment? Users includes the ambassadors and also the business pages. And as you can see, there's a number in percentage on the right, which is the comparison if you compare it to the previous period. So in this case, I've chosen a year to date, which is about 9 months, but it also compared it with the 9 months before that. So if I take the selection of the last 30 days, it will also give you the results of the 30 days before that period. Also, I can see how many business pages there are linked in my environment. I can see the number of inputs. In this case, there were no inputs. I can see the number of posts that have been created. So it's 121. And I also see the number of shares, actual shares that have been done in that period. So the 121 posts resulted in 2,449 shares. Also, you see the comparison with the previous period. I also see the team activity ratio, which is a ratio. And by the way, we also have explanations by moving over the eye that you can see, in this case, compared to other teams. Since we're in a demo environment, this is relatively high, but it compares you to see how many other, what your performance is compared to the other teams. Also on the platform insights, you can see the estimated reach. As you might know, this is just a calculation because we are not able to retrieve the actual data. So there's a formula, it's explained in this mouse over explanation text. So that means that we have 2449 times 750 is the estimated reach. The number of link clicks that we had in the platform, so how many clicks were done in the links that I used in my posts, how many likes we had on the business pages, how many comments we had on the business pages posts that we had, and how many reposts, reshares that we had. So this basically gives you an overview of all the totals of this period that you have selected. So if you scroll down, and then you have the individual statistics. Like I said, this is for the ambassadors, the personal shares, the pages, groups, topics, and links. So let's shortly move over them. For the ambassador ones, I have a number of columns showing. So the number of suggestions that are made, number of shares that were made, number of rejected posts that were done, the share ratio, number of inputs, an activity indication, I'll come back to that later, and an activity score. As you can see, there are all buttons beneath this. So if I click on this one, it means I will going to sort on this one. So in this case, if I click on it once, then it will show you the best, the people who shared the most. At the top, if I click on it again, it will reverse that order. So this way you can quite easily see what you want in your view. And also I scroll a little bit to the right, and there's some more fields. In this case, there's a leaderboard score indicating it's a calculation based on the number of inputs and the number of shares that have been done. The first row in this, in gray, always is the totals. So in this case, I had 175 personal shares. In this case, and for example, I had 1,020 suggestions that were made. If I want to change something in this setup, because right now I need to scroll to left to right, I can also make some changes in here. So for example, if I put a few out, then everything will fit in my screen, which might be very handy. Also, I'm able to search. So if I search for somebody, then I can easily search through the names, for example, to get this person up. Well, this team, we have mostly the business pages shares that have been done. So if I go to the pages part, I see a lot more shares because this is due to the nature of this team. Again, the same setup. So I have a number of suggestions, the number of posts that were shared, number of posts that were rejected, the share ratio, the engagement ratio, which means it's a combination of how many clicks, how many likes, and how many comments, and how many reshares. So basically the totals of this one. And again, an activity score. The activity score is calculated by the algorithms within the Postal platform, which basically shows, okay, how many inputs did I put, how many shares did I do? Of course, those are the main things. But also, did I also take a look in the system itself? For example, did I went to the inspiration wall? Well, a lot of other things. Did I log into the system? Those are all counted as an activity. Again, you can also then, of course, pick whatever you like, so that you can format your columns to your preferences. For the groups, I think it's pretty clear. You can see an overview of all the groups that there are in the system, and also the information about the number of users, the number of business pages connected to it, the number of suggestions that were done for people in that group, number of shares, the rejected, the share ratio, and again, the engagement, like the clicks, the engagement total, the likes, the reshares, and the comments. The same is true for the topics. Also, I can see what kind of topics, what are the results and the performance of those topics. So here I see them right now. It also displays my goal and also my hashtags, and those are the things you can set in the strategy part. So if I move over to that strategy part, you can see, okay, these are the actual items that I want in my strategy. And if I select one, I can set a goal, which means the number of posts that I want to have for this month, for a certain month. And also I can create a hashtag. In this case, it's not used, so you cannot see them in the statistics. But if you did, then you'll also see these numbers over here. And again, you can also link an input to a certain topic. So this is also something that can be done. And if it's done, it will be shown over here. The last of this list is the links. So if you include a link, then it's also going to be tracked within the Postal platform if you use the shortener. And then you also see, okay, I can also see how many clicks were done on this link. So in this case, for example, this is the original link. This is a short link. And if I move over to the right, I can see, okay, how many clicks were done on each link via how many users it was done and via how many posts it was done. So if I select on this one, for example, I can see that this post, the first post, has had 8 clicks. It was distributed via 6 users, and it was done in 1 post, for example. So this is quite nice if you want to track what are actually the clicks that were made on the post. Okay, if I scroll down furthermore, I have the activity overview, which indicates the number of inputs that were done, in this case 0, the number of suggestions that were done, the actual number of shares, and also the number of rejected posts. You can also show this as a line graph, and then you get quite a different overview. So select every preference that you would have. And also you can set the interval. I must say that the interval is also done automatically. So in this case, I selected a year to date, and then it automatically sets it to quarters. If I would have selected the last 30 days, for example, then it would selected me a weekly overview. But I can also choose it. So I say, okay, I want a monthly overview. Then it's quite easily to be set, and then I will get an overview per month. If this is, by the way, too small, I can also expand it so that you can take a copy of it and move it into your presentation or whatever. Well, the same is true for the distribution. In this case, the platform distribution. It shows, okay, how many shares were done on what kind of platform. So as you can see, most of this in this graph were done on Facebook. If you move over, then you also see the actual results. 29% was done on Instagram, 2% on LinkedIn, and 1% on Twitter. There's also some other options that you can choose. For example, for the topic distribution, and you can say, okay, what is the distribution amongst my topics that I've done, and also my group distribution, the distribution for all the groups that I've done. Here is an overview that you compare your statistics from a Postal, also with your website traffic. In order to be able to do this, you need to enter an API key from your Google Analytics. This is explained in a knowledge base, how you can do this. So a knowledge base article will explain it in more detail, which is actually quite handy because then you can say, okay, well, if I have posts with also links to my website in it, I can also see, okay, how many posts did I share and what was the result actually on my website. So I can compare it with my Google Analytics, provided that you have Google Analytics. And in the last overview, we have an overview of all the posts, which are related then again to the filtering options. And it gives you an overview of the totals of the posts. So for example, take this one. I can see, okay, well, this post has 3 variants. And we have 11 suggestions that were done. We have 8 shares that were done. In total, 8 again. The shares ratio is then 73%. Which is divided into ambassador shares and paid shares. So and if I click on a certain one, so in this case I click on this one, then I also get to see the totals of this post again, but slightly more details. And also I can see the variance of this post. So if I click on another one, then I see the actual details of this variant. So let's pick out one. Let's see if this one is, well, it only has 1 share, but anyway. So here you see the totals, which is the totals for, in this case, this variant that I've chosen. Let me see. Yeah, this is the total share because there are also paid shares. So there's 1 ambassador share and 21 paid share. So in this case, if I go to my ambassador tab, I see that actually 1 person has actually shared this one and the others not yet. And if I go to the pages overview, I see all the pages that have been shared. So the grayed out ones are the ones that are shared. All the others are still pending in this case. If I want to resend something, I can say, well, okay, send a reminder because, well, I want this person to share this. I can click on this or I can delete it. So in this overview, I see, okay, we have in total 5 suggestions that were done for the personal pages, so for the ambassadors, and 43 for the business pages. So actually 1 was shared out of that 5. Hold on. And 21 were shared from the business pages. So that means that we have 22 total shares, which is 46%. And I have an engagement of 47, which is all, in this case, the likes that were shared. So you can go to this for all the totals like this, or you can select a certain variant so that will display all the information of that variant. Yeah. All right, I think that includes most of the things. Yeah, of course, you can also search for a certain post in the search option over here. And I think, yeah, this is the thing that I wanted to share. Oh yeah, one more thing is the export function. I can also say, okay, I want to export all this data into an Excel file, and then I can look at the Excel file and also, have more further detailed analysis on the data, or maybe share it with somebody else. I hope you enjoyed this video, and looking forward to see you next time. And if there are any questions, please don't hesitate to contact our support. Thank you very much.